I feel like I'm on an episode of Storage Wars. I'm about to go and pick up an entire storage unit worth of clothes for my social enterprise op shop, and I want you to come along with me. A lovely member of our community got in contact with us. She said she's got a storage unit full of clothing. She said she really loves what we do and knows that we'll find it a good home. So I'm about to drive for 2 hours. Let's go. Okay, that was an adventure. This is only about half of it, and I know my car is super dirty. But I have to go pick up the rest from my parents' house tomorrow. Let's unpack this. It looks way smaller on camera, but this is only half of the stuff that we picked up. Let's get started going through this stuff. I'm setting up a bit of a sorting station, so I'll have items that need to be washed there. I've got a box that's already half filled with paper kilo stuff, so if anything needs to go straight in there it can. And I'll start a box for the stuff that we're going to put online. Let's go. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera, but a lot of items will have stains like this. That's an age stain and are fairly easy to get rid of, so I think I'm going to be doing a lot of washing. These are so cool. I really hope there's 2 of them because I can't see the other one. I've got all these random shoes and I really hope particularly that there's another one. One box has been filled, ready to go online. There's something really meditative about going through a pile of somebody else's clothes, especially when you know there's not going to be any surprises like someone's dirty undies or a huge dildo. Both true stories. As I mentioned, this storage unit worth of clothing came from a lovely lady in our op shop community who owned a vintage store about 10 years ago and then ran clothing swaps within her community. She was so kind in saying that she loved what I do through my textile recycling and op shop, but I believe she didn't have a car, so trying to disperse all of these was quite difficult for her, and that's why I drove 4 hours in total to go and pick it up with the help of my family. The only thing we weren't able to sell were 4 pairs of mismatched shoes, one of which I am particularly devastated about, but that's the magic of the op shop, isn't it? So I definitely got into a bit of a flow state, and there's only 5 bags left of this half, and then there's going to be this amount again. I'm really curious about the brains of people who like doing things like this, who love going through bags of people's discards and find value in it. Kind of like a pirate, which makes sense for me because, as true story, I'm actually descended from a pirate family at some point. I think that capitalism has steered our brains away from this style of consumption, that we require new now and 10 of them please shipped to me tomorrow. But I don't think the excitement I've felt opening a parcel has ever matched the rush and wonder of a wish list op shop find, particularly one that was found in a rummage bin. Okay, that was a huge job. That was only half of it and I'm already wiped. This pile, which is almost as tall as me, and for reference I'm about almost 5'10" I think. This is all the stuff that is perfect, good to go, and it'll be going online from this half of the lot. We've got a jacket and a pair of boots in there that I'm going to see if we can try and repair because they seem really easy. This all needs to be washed and it's all just age stains, so it should come out really easily. We've got 2 boxes of paper kilo that we'll have at our next pop-up, and then this box is just stuff that will just go straight to rack. It won't be online, it'll just be in our op shop when we do pop-ups. The only 2 things that will be recycled is this YSL tie, because it is like falling apart, and if it is silk, which I'm assuming it is, silk and polyester, once it goes like this, it means that the fabric's really fragile, so we're just going to recycle that one. And I'm not really too sure what to do with this shirt. It seems a little bit problematic what is on the logo, so it might just get turned into yarn. Usually when you buy vintage, you get like random tees in there. When I used to buy bulk from my vintage store, I used to get tees that had the Confederate flag on it, and I used to sew over them because like You got it, you know. Now I got to get to work uploading all of this. Tomorrow I'm going to sort the second half of the stuff and try and schedule that too. The second half of the bags have arrived and we're going to get into sorting. I'm not really too sure where I'm going to put all this because I've run out of boxes. What really struck me as I was going through these bags of vintage clothing was how much of a time capsule they were. I was immediately transported back to when I started thrifting in the early 2010s, when hipsters were running rampant and op shopping was suddenly becoming cool and not something you were embarrassed about because your parents didn't grow up rich and, in your mum's words, had champagne taste on a beer budget. I remember so clearly how scared I felt being in an op shop as a tween because I thought someone from my expensive school would see me and judge me. These clothes reminded me of the time I found myself when I would go through vintage stores and pick out my favorite pieces. When op shops had so much more vintage and you could actually find a pair of vintage Levi 501s for $2 and it wasn't a crazy find that would get you 100k views on YouTube because it was so rare. It was just like that. It also made me think about trends and how even in vintage clothing, which has its own trends, that we also fit it into the trends of today. It made me wonder if I went to one of the big vintage markets I do sometimes with a time capsule and I asked everybody to put in a vintage piece that they felt represented the moment right now, which is so mind-boggling in itself. What would we put in? If I opened it in 10 years, in 2036, what would it say about the time 10 years ago and how would we look back on it? And even more curiously, what would be the trends of vintage then? All right, only 4 bags left and then there is no more. Call me crazy, but this meditative flow state of sorting trash from treasure is one of my favorite places to be. One of my favorite things about all of this is that op shops and the like are full of items that someone didn't want, didn't fit, forgot about, or couldn't take with them when leaving this earthly plane. Yet to another, it's a goldmine. And I think in today's throwaway society, that mindset is revolutionary. It stands for something. It stands for the planet. It stands for stories. And I'll take that any day over a piece of polyester that some rich guy is forcing slave labor to make. Oh my gosh, I worked up such a sweat doing all that. But this is the new and improved pile. As you can see, hang on. It is even taller and now wider. And this will be the stuff that will go online directly. Perfect, ready to go. Okay, obviously I need to figure out if I can reuse or need to trash them. This is all paper kilo that needs to be boxed up. And this monstrosity is just stuff that will go normally to the op shop when we have our pop-ups. And we had a little bit of recycling here. This is also another set of washing that we have to do. Oh, what's that? Just put it in here. Lots to do, lots to sort, lots to get online, but I feel like I'll probably show you my haul of my favorites in the next clip and you can keep an eye out on Bloom if you want to grab them. I cannot tell you how depressed I am that this was a loan shoe, but maybe I'll ask the lady if she ever found the pair because what's the brand? Michael Antonio Sport. These are so sick. Whoever ends up with these, be grateful that I have a big foot. I have finally gotten through those 40 bags of vintage and new that a member of our community very kindly cleared out for us to have for our community. And I thought I would walk you through some of the more special pieces. A lot of people might not know this, but I actually started my career in vintage when I was 18, which is now almost 15 years ago. So vintage at the op shop is my bread and butter and I absolutely love it. Starting with shoes, we have these brown suede fringing boots with this steel cap. There's also these fabulous vintage boots. And now onto clothes. Some of these already have loving homes. I'm about to ship them off. Some of them are online. I don't know when this is going to go up, so you're just going to have to pop on the Bloom op shop website if you want to grab any of these. But yeah, if they are yours, oh my gosh, congratulations. So cute. We have a beautiful vintage midi nighty slip dress. Gorge. Can you believe the detailing on this? This gorgeous little vintage top. Now, not everything is vintage because I believe the lady did have a vintage store and then did like community kind of swap events. So there are also some new pieces, but because these have been in storage, some of them are like up to 10 years old, which is a beautiful little time capsule. This is obviously one of the newer ones, but we've got a new with tags tiger lily dress. This is so gorgeous. Also kind of had my eye on this one, vintage 80s fringing top. More gorgeous vintage dresses. At the time of recording, I think only one of these has sold, but there's like 3 different colors of these, and I still can't believe they are velvet, like true vintage. These are very, very old. Would look way better on a person, and I don't know if you can see that, but the khaki does something really funny with the camera. But vintage Q, so good. Pretty sure no one's bought this too. I have always been obsessed with these. I call them butterfly tops because there are a lot that are like made in butterflies. I think this is so fun, so slinky. The 80s are back, baby. They never left. This vintage jacket has been spoken for, I believe, from one of our regulars. So if you're watching this, enjoy. We also have dead stock vintage, which is so wild. So dead stock vintage means that it was never worn, which you can see this top was from Suzanne's originally. I believe from the 70s, but the smocking is so gorgeous. And again, at time of recording, I don't think anyone has bought this, which is wild. We aim to have everything as affordable as possible. Recently we put our prices up a little bit at the op shop, so there are some pieces here and there that will be higher than $15, but I think we did the maths, but the average cost of something was about $3. So even if we have that, you know, beautiful magical piece that we might do for no more than maybe $30 or $50, then that is what helps us sort of keep doing these things. And in vintage pieces like this, I feel like it's kind of warranted because there are some op shops that buy vintage and bring it back here. Girl, we have enough as it is. Speaking of more Gorgina vintage, this one I think has sold, but this one, some more 60s, 70s wear. I'm pretty sure this one hasn't sold, which is crazy. Guys, I don't even care if you're a reseller, bloody, these are amazing. Someone has gotten this because, come on, how gorgeous is this jacket? I love. This one I don't think has gone online yet. We have a tan colored shoelace pack that someone gave us once somewhere. So I'm gonna find it and use it for this. So cute. This also has not gone online. There's something going on with the zipper, which I think it just needs some, like, you put pencil, like literally rub your pencil in there. But it is like a whole beaded, oh my god, that is workout. But look at the beading. You can see why I'm like struggling to hold it. 90s, gorgeous. Okay, was a little bit naughty and I did buy a couple of pieces for myself. To be fair, I did drive for 4 hours to come and get all this stuff and bring it back to our warehouse here, which is not in South Brisbane. I bought a couple of these for myself. First up, we have this amazing vintage top. And I thought these were just fun ties, but they actually both go, there's another one here, and they tie in and crisscross. So it's this beautiful, well, it can be a dress if you're feeling scandalous, or it's a beautiful long top, which I'm very excited to layer. If you didn't know, the 80s are probably one of my favorite decades, apart from, I'd say, the 60s and 70s. And to be honest, it's because I feel like the 80s is really underrated. People have this like really crazy picture of the 80s, which is like the ugliest stuff to come out of it, but we don't tend to do that for other decades. And even then, like, who's to say what is ugly? If you rock it, you look good. The next piece, I have a collection of vintage maxi dresses that are like crazy patterns, and I don't have any in black. I have a pink one, I have a brown and white one, and I don't have black, so it's going to a good home. And last but not least, I am devastated that I don't have a grand staircase within my house that I can walk down wearing this. I do have a very grand staircase, but it's out the front, and even though I live on property, I feel like my neighbors might see me and just be like, what is this bitch doing? But oh my gosh, oh my goodness, like feather boa. Oh my god, I might even like work in this, to be honest, because I work in a warehouse on my own property. May as well be fabulous.
So I don't know what happened to the audio of this video, so you're just getting editing Zara, but these are the items that have sold from this haul, and I really wanted to show you them because they are so beautiful and got obviously very snapped up. So we've got these gorgeous brown vintage boots. These are knee highs. We had a noughties top. This one was so cute, and I believe a plus size as well, which is quite rare for vintage. This gorgeous patchwork bag. I thought that no one was going to grab this, and it was one of the first things that sold. So I'm so glad that people enjoy the joy of patchwork leather from the 80s and 90s like I do. There was also quite a few pairs of Naughty's Sassenbide denim. If you're not Australian, I fear that you don't know, but the Sassenbide denim is iconic from that era. Moving swiftly along, we have these gorgeous leather vests. The fringing and this little patchwork they have is amazing. It also has this amazing patchwork on the back too. Now, I think this one is actually the oldest piece that we've ever had at the op shop, which is really cool. Not the oldest that I've seen, but the oldest at the op shop. It's this beautiful 40s or 50s dress. Now, it did have a little bit of damage on the underarms, but who's looking at your armpits, honestly? And we did list that, obviously, in the listing. But how gorgeous. Then we had these ballet heels. So lovely. Again, I think they needed like heel caps or something. So someone got them for an amazing price. We also had more Sassenbide denim. I feel like they really need to re-energize their denim. Hire me, Sassenbide, for direction. I feel like that would really just take them in a new way. This hat is so cute, and I'm pretty sure I owned one as a child of the 90s. I'm so obsessed. So that is it. And we've now sadly come to the end of the storage unit vlog. That was really fun. I actually would not mind doing more of that as long as it's just clothes, because I'm not about to get into like episodes of storage wars. Although if there is like a safe with millions of dollars of cash, because I have seen an episode of something like that, I would not shy away from that one. My neighbor is screaming. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.